I'm a therapist, and I have something disturbing to tell you. Women are in trouble. An autoimmune condition ravages our bodies and minds. I witness the devastation daily. The symptoms vary from obsessive-compulsive disorder, OCD, to anxiety, from migraine to depression to eczema. And there's a common cause: anger. Anger is eating us up from the inside out. The pressures heaped on women by every level of society and its systems leave us furious. But we've been conditioned not to recognise our rage, so it burns behind the scenes. And from there, it's destroying us. Coming of age in dreamy 90s Britain, I was taught we'd largely outwitted the insidious harm of sexist constraint. In an age rendered glorious by corduroy, androgynous haircuts, Britpop and pickled sharks, tedious old misogyny was harder to spot. But it turns out it was there all along. It hadn't gone anywhere. How can we have mistaken the unregulated frontiers of ladette culture for some kind of ironic, post-misogynist utopia? Silly us. The most flagrant women haters of today, preaching their overt messages of violence to a new generation of millions, alert us to the magnitude of women hatred worldwide. They also serve as a distraction, permitting that stealthier, time-worn brand of misogyny to slide in unseen. As in any other decade, just like the misguided 90s, covert acts of sexism play out through the myriad micro-interactions of a woman's day. But today, the rules are more sophisticated, and we've somehow been playing along. Well, I've stopped playing along. In my consulting room, I employ theory informed by psychoanalysis and neuroscience to help individual women from across the world make sense of their suffering. In many ways, though, it's like I'm applying a band-aid to a hemorrhage. When an entire ecosystem is sick, we question the value of treating a single organism. I've written this book as I want to provide us all with the means to challenge our individual agony, as well as to start a wider conversation about why the hell this is happening to us and how we can make it stop. To this end, I need to outline the reasons why an insidious rather than overt sexism has become baked into women's psyches and how our upbringing helps secure this own goal. Partially, this is because we're told that sexism no longer exists. Copious gender equality policies attest to that. But it's also because women are conditioned not to feel the most obvious signal for injustice: anger. So when frustration or irritated confusion surface at some outmoded sexist incident, we don't accept that emotion at face value. Instead, we subdue it, shrug it off, explain it away, normally at deeply unconscious levels, and our bodies are left to make sense of what's happening. Unfortunately, our poor bodies are pretty basic in this respect. They don't have a lot of nuanced options for expressing pain and suffering. Even our brains have few distinct pathways for communicating their turmoil. As a psychotherapist, I see the evidence in my practice daily. Women present feeling sad and anxious or suffering from a range of somatic symptoms, from panic attacks to tension headaches, from irritable bowel syndrome or IBS to eating disorders. Women are twice as likely as men to suffer depression, 3 times more likely to experience migraines, and 4 times more likely to be diagnosed with autoimmune disease. I've been scouring the history books for clues about the origin of this suffering. There seems to have been a global pivot away from sexual parity after agricultural economies began to dominate, as we shifted to a more sedentary way of life. Darwin himself had some choice views on sex differences, and indeed promoted the finding that women were inferior in body and mind. He gave us natural selection. It turns out he also laid the groundwork for the gender pay gap, limited reproductive rights, and legal injustices. But we can't leave it all at Darwin's door. There have been countless opportunities to address these issues since the word sexism was immortalized by the US feminist Caroline Bird Mahoney more than half a century ago in her speech on being born female. Real change just seems to elude us. From before we're born, we're saddled with society's projections and expectations, which eventually begin to distort us at a near cellular level. We come into the world knowing what's expected. It's woven into the soft fabric of our psyche. Even the word sexism feels so beige now, so overused, and yet also weirdly underused.